everyone, and welcome to Intellipaat. Power Query is a data preparation and transformation engine. Power Query includes a Power Query editor for implementing transformations as well as a graphical interface for obtaining data from sources. The location where the data will be saved depends on where Power Query was utilized because the engine is integrated into many different products and services. You can process data through extract, transform, and load, that is ETL, using Power Query. It might not seem like a huge addition when it comes to job opportunities, but that is not the case. Knowing how to operate using Power Query is a great add on as compared to just knowing simple Excel. Let's now take a look at the agenda. Firstly, we have real time data warehouse, after which we will see what is data warehouse. Moving further, we have data warehouse architecture, after which we have data warehousing processes. Lastly, we have data warehouse tools.
But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon so that you never miss any update from Intellipaat YouTube channel.
So I just want to give you a brief explanation on data warehouse. Let's say what is data warehousing? It is nothing but it's a collection of huge amount of data, or I can say storing the data. Okay. Basically, what is huge amount of data here? So let me take an example. If I'm considering a software company, or else I can consider a e-learning company, so there will be having a collection of data. So in a single company, I'll be having a different department. Let's say if I'm going with a company called a Google or some IT company, there you'll be having a management team, a financial team, technical team, support team, operation team. So you can see different types of department you can see in the particular company. So each and every team will be having their own data, right? So they have to store this data because in the future they might require. So simply we cannot go and we cannot leave it as it is, right? We have to keep, and we have to keep this data safely, because we might use this data for the future, or else if you want anything from the previous thing, so that purpose we are just gonna save this. Okay, that's why we'll be using a data warehouse where actually we'll be storing our data. Let's say a company started in the year 2000. So from the year 2000 to till 2022 till now, so all the data should be stored. I can tell, oh, maybe 12 years of data should be stored. Guys, are you agree with this? Why we are storing the data? Because it may require, right? So it will be very helpful if we store the data, so we can retrieve for our future, for analyzing the purpose. If we are storing our data, we can analyze everything from the data. Okay, so that is the reason why we are going to store the data in data warehouse. So basically data warehouse also said to be a server room. So you have seen that in each and every company there will be having a server room, right? Like where they'll be storing all the different kinds of data over there. Let's say if you're an employed person, so you might have seen in a server room in your company, or else I can tell it as a data warehouse where the actual data is stored over there. Guys, if you're storing your data or thing in the cloud, sometimes let's say if anything happens to the cloud, some I can say that some of the things will be missed, right, in the cloud. So if we are saving this data in the data warehouse, so there is no loss of data. So whatever the thing that we have stored, everything will be perfect. How actually the data warehouse, or else I can tell the storage room, the server room. So I think so you have seen these things in your company. There will be a separate room, so where they're going to store all the data. So they will be keeping the data for the historical purpose. If they want to use in a future, they're going to store the data in this way. So the place where we are going to store our data, that is said to be a data warehouse. Guys, this is just depends on a company. Like if the company is going to store their data in the cloud, they will be storing the things in the cloud. If the company is preferring to store the things in the data warehouse, they're just going with the storing the data in the data warehouse. Just depends on the company, like what company is going to decide, like how they're going to store the data. So here you can see what is data warehouse. So data warehouse is an appliance for storing and analyzing data and reporting. So basically what is storing? We are just storing the data, right? That is said to be a storing here. We will just going to store the data in our data warehouse. So what is analyzing? After storing the data, we have to analyze it. So let's say if I want the things, let's say I can tell it as in this way. If I want to get the some particular employee's details for the how many months he or she has worked, so I just want to analyze the things. So with the help of data, whatever that I'm having, I can analyze the things. So after analyzing, we have to do the reporting. Reporting is nothing but we are just going to create the report. Like whatever the data that we are having, first we will be storing the data in the data warehouse. After storing the data, we are just going to analyze the data. So how it's working, everything, we're just analyzing the data. After analyzing, based on the analyzation, we are just doing the report. We are just creating the report. So it is designed for query and analysis. It means, so we'll be having a query, right? Let's say I just want to see one employee who is working from so and so years to this many years. So I'll just get all the things with the help of analysis. I'm just going to do the analysis over there. So here it says it usually contains historical data derived from the transaction data and also include data from other sources. So you don't have the things in only one data. Let's say I told you that you'll be having a different departments in your company. So if your management team is storing the data in the Word document, or else I can tell the sales team is storing the data in the SQL format. So the technical team is going to like all store all the data in the Excel format. So some other team is going to store the data in PDF format. So here I can tell all the different department is storing the data in different sources. They're not going to store the same thing. They're just going to store the different things. So some people are storing the data in Excel, PDF format, okay, JSON format, Word document. So they're going to store the data in different sources. So what is historical data? Historical data is nothing but the previous data from when the company actually started, from then to till now. We are just going to store all the data. Okay. So it is a type of database management system that is designed to enable and support business intelligence activities. So basically what is support business intelligence here? It is nothing but converting a raw data into the visualization format. We'll be having a data, right? In the business intelligence, we'll be having the data in the raw data format. Okay, that we are just going to convert into the visualization part. So we are not storing the data in the same format. We'll be having a n number of department in each company. So each department people will be having a different data. Okay, they will be storing the data in their view. So I can say this team is going to store the data in some format. So I can say these are the different data sources that I'm having. Okay. With the help of business intelligence activities, I can convert the raw data in the visualization format. So basically what is visualization? Visualization is nothing but it will be in the form of the graphical thing. So it will be very easy to analyze. Instead of going with the normal table form, if I'm converting that thing into the visualization part, it will be very easy to understand and I can analyze very quickly. So you have seen, right, like how the servers looks like here. So this is a server room that where you're going to store all kind of data. So E stands for extract, T stands for transform, L stands for load. Extract, transform, load. Okay. I told you that you'll be having a different data sources. You are going to store that in a data warehouse, right? So this is a architecture of data warehouse architecture, the how you are going to store your data. Okay, see here in the first diagram, you can see I'm having the data in the Oracle. So I told you that in my company, a separate team will be going to store the data in a separate format, right? So let's say my first team is gonna, so let me explain you. So this is my company data. So my technical team, people are storing the data in the Oracle form, Oracle database, okay? And I'll be having a separate team called sales team. So the sales team, they are going to store the data in a SQL server. and I'll be having a team called operation. So operation team is going to store the data in this form. Okay, I will write OP. So I can have the management team. They are going to store the data in the flat file. So here I can tell I'm having all the different databases here. One is the Oracle one more is SQL Server, one more is Teradata, one more is flat file. So the very first step is E. E is nothing but extract. Okay, I'm just gonna extract the sources from all the different kinds of database here. These are the different database. I'm just gonna extract the data from the different source here. Okay, this is said to be an extraction. I'll be having one area called staging area. Here I'll be transfer all the road. Okay, after extracting the things, I have to transform. So here I have to transform. Okay, so basically what happens here, I'll be having all the different kinds of data. So let's say if my company wants to store the entire team's data in one particular format. Okay, they're just gonna store this data in a SQL format. So what they're going to do, they just extract the data from all the different departments. So they will be keeping here in the staging area. So here what they're doing, they just convert all the data into the SQL format. If that company is following the SQL thing, so they're just combine all the data. They're just converting the different formats and they're just doing it in a SQL format. Then they're going to load. Okay, before loading, you have to extract the data, transform the data. Transform is nothing but you're just gonna convert the different kinds of data into the one particular format. Let's say if that is for following the SQL format, it is just converted into the SQL format and then it is loading the data to the data warehouse. Okay, I'll just show the slide like what other tools are available to perform this ETL process. What's happening here? Here I'll be having a different data in a different, I'll be having a different team here. So each team is maintaining some data. They are going to store the data in their view. Okay. So if I can't combine all this data because these are the different data sources, right? So I have to take the things. I have to take the things and I have to do it in a one particular thing. Let's say this company is following the SQL Server. Then what it is going to do, the complete data, like what are the different data sources are available here. The complete data sources is going to store it in a SQL. If that thing is happening in the SQL Server or the Teradata form, that is going to convert this thing into that particular format. So it just depends on the company. So in what way they have to store the data. Okay, it's not only that you have to go for the SQL, you can tell it as a SQL or else you can call it as a SQL. So both are one and the same. Okay, SQL and SQL, both are one and the same. They are telling why the staging area is required because see, we have to transform it. Transform is nothing but we are just converting the different format of data into one particular format, right? So that is why the transform is required. Then once the transform is done in the staging area, I'm just gonna load the thing in the data warehouse. Directly, I'm not going to keep these different forms of data in the data warehouse. First, I will just extract the things and I'll just do it in a one particular format and then that particular format I'm gonna store it in a data warehouse. And what you are doing in the Power BI, you'll be having some of the data sets, you'll be importing that, you'll be doing the visualization part in the Power BI. But in the SQL or the SQL, you'll be having a coding, right? You have to create the data set, you have to create a table. That is going to happen in your SQL classes. In a Power BI, you're just gonna do it in a visualization part. You'll be having already the data set will be available. So you have to use the data set and you have to do the visualization thing. That thing your trainer is going to take because today I'm there only for the data warehousing subject here. The whatever the query you're having related to the Power BI or SQL or the Azure Data Factory. After staging area, what is happening? So it is completed and the thing it is in a one format. That one format I'm gonna store it in a data warehouse. This is not automatic. We are not doing, guys. It is just doing it in a data warehouse architecture only. So here is just an example. So instead of Oracle, if I had something in, let's say, some Azure or the some AWS thing. Okay. So it's just an example. I'm just showing the architecture that how we are going to convert the data from one format to other format. So you can have Excel, you can have anything. That only I'm explaining. You'll be having the data in the different format. In the transform process, you're just gonna convert that different kinds of databases and put it into the one format. So after doing the transform here, you're just going to load the thing in the data warehouse. Okay, no need to study Oracle, everything. It's just an example that I'm just saying that you'll be having a different databases available in the company. Okay. It's not storing it only in the SQL server. It will be stored. It just depends on the company. If they want to store all the different kinds of data in one that particular format, so they are going to store that thing in only the SQL. If they want to store all the things in the Oracle format, they're just gonna store that in a Oracle format. Okay, if they want to store that entire thing in the Excel format, they will be storing in a Excel format. That's it. It's not mandatory that always you have to convert into the SQL. So here you can see I'm having the data warehousing process. So we have to follow some process, right? We cannot directly do the things manually. So what are the steps that we have to follow? This is a process that we are doing. Like if you want to take the data and we have to store it in a data warehouse, we have to follow some of the things. So here you can see I'm having the data cleaning and I'm having the integration, or data transformation is done, and data loading and data refreshing. So these are the processes that we have to do it. So basically what is data cleaning here? So basically what is data cleaning here? So data cleaning here is nothing but we'll be transforming the data, right, from one, let me show it again. So see here. So I have to extract the data from a different data source to the one particular thing. So while extracting the data, some of the data will be missed. So I cannot tell that everything will be. So what are the things that I'm doing here? Each and everything will be extracted. Okay. So before going to the data warehousing, before directly putting these things into the data warehouse, I have to check it here whether all my data is clearly extracted or some of the data are missing. You can see it includes filling in missing values. So before putting this data into the data warehouse, I have to check whether everything is fine or whether any of the data is missing. If the data is missing, I have to fill it out there. Okay. So data cleaning is nothing but it includes filling in missing values. So I'm just gonna see this thing before itself. So before sending the data into the data warehousing, I have to check these things. Is my data is everything is fine or any of the data is missing or not? Basically, guys, missing data is nothing but you'll be having one data set. Let's say I'll just show you that how the data set looks like. Okay. So you can see I'm having this kind of data in the Excel format. So missing data set is nothing but in my sum of the column, some value might be 0 or null. Okay. So whenever I'll be getting a NA, whenever the value is not present in that particular thing, but that particular row or column, so at that time I can tell my values are missing. You can see in this data set, everything is fine. You can see I can say in this thing, in my 16th row, my data is missing. Okay, this is said to be a data missing. My value is missing in particular row. Okay, before sending the data into the data warehousing, we have to check whether all the data has been extracted or not. So I was talking about this data. Let's say I'm having some data set in this format. So I told you that we have to check the data cleaning. Data cleaning is nothing but before putting up the data into the data warehousing, you have to check any data is missing or not. You can see in this particular row, my data is missing. So let's say if any of the data is missing before sending to the data warehouse, then it will be a very huge loss, right? If I want to retrieve my data at that particular date, it seems So if the data is missing, then how can I retrieve the data? So therefore, once you are storing the data, then you cannot do any modification. So before sending the data into your data storage, you have to check all these things, whether everything is fine or good. If everything is okay, then you have to send your data to the data warehouse. So it's a manual work. So data cleaning is done. It includes the filling in missing values. The next we're having the integration. So basically what is integration? It tells that it includes integration of multiple databases. So integration is nothing but the combining the different databases. I told you that I'll be having the data in the different sources, right? So I'm just gonna combine this different data source. Okay, you can see this step is said to be a integration. I'm just gonna combine this data. I'm just gonna combine something, but I'm not gonna mess up. I'll be just taking each and every data from the different databases. Okay, I'll be taking the data from the Oracle database. I'll be taking the SQL Server database. I'll be taking the data from the Teradata. So in this way, I'm just gonna do the integration here. Okay, integration is nothing, but I'm just taking all the data from the different data sources. So the next we're having is data transformation. So I already told that what is transformation. Converts data from host format to the warehouse format. So it means I'll be having a different kinds of data. That data I'm just gonna convert into the one format. So it will be very easy to store that a single format, right? Instead of going and putting into the entire thing in a one particular warehouse. So it will be very easy if I convert those host format to the warehouse format. Okay, that is said to be a data transformation. So what is loading here? So data loading is nothing but sorting. So what are the things that you can check? We can do sorting, summarize, consolidate, compute, views, check integrity. Sorting is nothing but, let's say I'll be having the data in the employee like a alphabetical order, but I don't want to store my data in the alphabetical order. So I just want to store the data according to the employee ID number. There I can do the sorting. Okay, these are the things that you can do it in your data loading stage. These are the processes that you are going to do. So what are the data that I'm having in a different form of data that is going to extract in one particular format, and that thing is going to send it in a data warehouse. Even from staging area to data warehouse, there is some of the task is happening in between these two. Okay, it is not directly going from staging area to data warehouse thing. There are some of the functionality is happening in between these two things. So here what's happening? I just converted the different kinds of data and put it in the one format data. So here I can go for the data loading. So I'll be having the, like if I want to do any sorting, if I want to summarize, if I want to compute these things, these are the functionality that you can perform over there in the data loading. So basically what is check integrity? Let's say I was talking about the employee in a company thing, right? So I'll be having employees. In the next month, I'll be having a Diwali festival. So I have to give the bonus for my employees. So let's say I just want to add a new column there. So what are the actual salary they're having? I'm just gonna multiply with the 500 or the 1000. So I have to check there. I have to check the integrity, whether each and every employee is going to receive the bonus amount, or some people are receiving 500, or some people are receiving 1000, or some people are receiving more than 1000. So I have to check the integrity over there. So what is data refreshing? Is the data refreshing is important in the data warehousing process? I can't tell everything is happening only in this area. Some of the things are happening in the starting part, and rest of the things is happening here also. Consolidate is nothing but I'll be having the different data, right? I'm just gonna combine, consolidate. I'm just combining all the data. That is said to be a consolidate. So if you want to like do any modification, if you want to update, if you want to delete anything, then you can do it here, the computation part. So again, I'm just gonna tell what is data refreshing. Propagates the update from data sources to the warehouse. So each and every day I'll be having the different data, right? So I just want to update the data and I have to store it in a data warehouse. So what are the data that I'm having? What are the things that I'm doing in a staging area that is gonna reflect in my data warehouse? So if you are doing any update, if you're doing any modification in the data refreshing, the same thing is reflected in your data warehouse also. Tools, data warehouse tools. With help of these tools, you can go with the, so there are Teradata, Informatica, Snowflake, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Dynamo Database, Google BigQuery, Amazon Redshift. These are the tools that we're having for the data warehousing purpose. So with the help of these tools, it is gonna convert it in a ETL process.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in data engineering, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in data engineering associated with MIT. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job.